Okay, in today's guide, I want to show you guys how I actually create a video. So obviously, the first thing you want to do is to come up with the topic, and you want to have a rough idea about what the hook is. And then the second part would be to directly generate a script. So usually the way I do it is I have the idea, I have roughly all the points I want to make. So all these tend to require originality, although you could technically do research from what's viral in the market at the moment. But for me, all the video ideas I've come up with are more on the original side. So for example, I have my topic here, and I roughly have all my talking points. Of course, I could make it more meaty and add more details later on. But this is roughly what I'll put. I might want to put another like 5 more lines of how I want to tell the story. And then AI has a certain weakness. Like I was researching into some tendencies of what AI likes to do, right? So I was asking Claude about why AI has a certain flaw in its writing. It writes in a very AI-ish way, and that's because of how it was trained, how the AI models were trained, and how they were rewarded. So I mean, honestly, AI writing is a bit annoying. Like they like to use the word delve, they like to use like weird, complex words. They like to add a lot of fillers, transition words. So you can actually prompt AI in a way to reduce this sort of thing and to talk in a more natural, conversational way, like a real human would. Yeah. So I come up with several prompts to guide the AI to generate a script that is like more reasonable. So you would just, and by the way, I recommend Claude. You can also use Gemini or ChatGPT, but I think Claude is the best in writing. It's like Claude.ai. I mean, there are still some like weaknesses in the writing, right? Like you don't just kill, then there's a dash, you get a buzzer. But here's the thing, dash, the uncle got new assistant. So like part of the script is still a bit like AI-ish. So you could actually go back to edit this. Like if you're not happy with the current script, using you don't do this, you do that. So I mean, you can play around the exact writing. You can even write your script manually, which is what I recommend. Like, you can generate this initial version. I will just like go in and edit my script. Okay, the second step is to actually read out your script. Um, and there's a certain way of doing it. Like, let's say I have my fully edited script here. So what I would do is I would look at the camera and just say out my lines, right? If I'm doing a talking head. So I would probably memorize the script 1 to 2 lines at a time. So for example, we waited 3 hours for TV legend. We waited 3 hours for TV legend Huang Yiliang's viral crab bee hoon to know whether it is worth eating. Let's say I made a mistake here, I can go back to say again. To find out whether the hype is real. Then if I made a mistake again, I can say it one more time. We waited 3 hours for Huang Yiliang's viral crab bee hoon to find out whether the hype is real. So after that, in the post production, I would just record this in one shot, and then I'll continue on to the next line, right? Like I'll read the next line. By 7:30 p.m., Huang's store was already mobbed by the crowd, and then I'll go and look at the script again, and then I will just go at the camera again, and I'll continue recording. So for me, I put my script on the computer, and then I record with the phone, and you could record both and merge them together if you want to do some sort of screen sharing. But I mean, for this like long form video, I'm just going to use the webcam and my PC. I'm not going to be using my phone. Yeah. So you read the entire thing, and then after that, next step is to actually do the editing. So let's actually start the editing now. I highly recommend using CapCut. I think it's way better than Instagram edits. It has way more features. So let's actually just create a new project, and I just want to quickly show you how I would do it. Okay, technically you would create a new project, but I could just show you one of my previous examples. So you want to look for your raw recording file, and then you want to actually use the talking head clip and start editing, because that is your baseline storytelling, right? The talking head that actually tells the entire story. So for example, I have a 14-minute clip here. I would just drag it in. And the final video was more like 3 minutes because I had to keep recording myself, and then I left the camera rolling, and I had to do a lot of repeated takes. Okay, so I think the first thing you want to probably do is to go and listen to the script first.
What if I told you that some of the sharpest business minds in Southeast Asia?
So like I said, Southeast Asia, and then I forgot my line, right? And you can see here, right, actually there's the sound here, the audio, and it helps you know where to cut. So you can see that when the audio is like flat, I'm not speaking. So I can just play and show you. I'm not speaking, I'm reading the script.
Didn't learn strategy in the bot.
So you know that I started speaking here again. I can click on this and you can press Ctrl B or split. You can click on the split button, Ctrl B. I can also split from this point, right? This is where I stopped talking. So I press Ctrl B again. And then you can delete this part. So now if you play the clip, it reads smoothly, right? There's no break in between.
In Southeast Asia, didn't learn strategy in the boardroom.
Okay, so I stop talking here again. I will cut here again, and then I start talking here again. I will cut here again, and then I'll press the delete button.
Boardroom. Didn't learn strategy in the boardroom. They learned it in an.
So I said didn't learn strategy twice, right? And the second take was probably the better one. Usually, if the first take is good enough, you wouldn't record a second take. So most of the time, you end up deleting the earlier takes. So let's play it again.
Didn't learn strategy in the boardroom. Didn't learn strategy in the boardroom.
So I'll use the second take. I'll cut this silent bit again, and I'll delete this first version as well.
In Southeast Asia, didn't learn strategy in the boardroom. They learned it in an internet cafe playing StarCraft or Warcraft at 2 a.m.
Okay. So you will continue cutting the clip.
I'm not just theorizing.
So I had a quick pause here. You may want to just reduce all these soft pauses. You want to keep the energy and the pacing on the video at a higher pace. This is to maximize retention, to maximize the amount of the percentage of video watched. So I'll just cut a bit more. I won't edit the entire thing.
I'm not just theorizing. The CEO of Shopify, Tobias.
Okay, so I'll just cut here, cut here. Okay, let's just end the video here for the example. What I will do now is oh, by the way, at the start, I also have a small pause before I actually started speaking, so I'll cut this out as well. So the speed at which I'm speaking is a bit slow. So what I would do is, I'll highlight everything. I will go to speed, and you can play around. You can either select duration or speed. I usually just play around with the multiplier. So I usually go for 1.1 or 1.2x just to keep the pace faster. So you can try to listen to it again.
What if I told you that some of the sharpest business minds in Southeast Asia didn't learn strategy in the boardroom? They learned it in an internet cafe playing StarCraft or Warcraft at 2 a.m.
So I'm roughly done with this edit. I think a 1.2x pacing is pretty good. I'll just delete the rest of the video since this is just an example. Okay, so let's say I'm happy with this now, right? The next step would be to add captions. I feel like both long form and short form require captions. This is because not everyone watches the video with sound on, or they might be in public and it might be noisy and they cannot hear you, and they may not have turned their volume to the max. So you can either add the captions manually or you can do auto captions. So I prefer to do auto captions. This is a paid feature for the pro version of CapCut. You click on captions, click on auto captions, spoken language English. I mean, I usually don't do bilingual, but if you want to do English and Chinese, you could do this. Identify filler words so that if you are saying like all the filler words, the AI will automatically remove those. So you click English, none, and then filler words, generate. So of course, the first version is the most basic fonts, and you may want to adjust the size of the captions. By the way, I'm just editing this in a landscape aspect ratio, right? But because that was the aspect ratio I filmed this in. But what you can actually do, you can change the aspect ratio here. But usually if you are filming for short form, you would film in a 9:16 aspect ratio, right? Let's say I want to cut a short form version of this. I'll click on ratio, I'll click 9:16. And you can click and drag to fill the entire screen, right? You can do something like that. So for example, I could do it like that. The problem with selecting all and just clicking and dragging is that I'm only actually changing the first clip. I'm not changing all 7 clips here. So what you might want to do is to play around with the first clip, look at the scale and the position, right? Position determines the position on the screen. Scale is how much you actually expanded the image by. So you can see 0, 0, 0 degrees. I did not rotate it. 316. So I will select all, and I could do this. So all the subsequent clips follow the same framing. If I wanted to reposition the clip, I could do something like minus 200, for example. So you can see all the clips were shifted down by 200 on the y-axis. Yeah, but I'm just going to undo it with Ctrl Z. Okay, so let's deal with the captions next. For any short form platform, usually there's like some buttons here, there's the like, comment, share buttons here, there's the description and text boxes here. So you try to keep your face in the center. You probably don't want the captions to be too low. You want it to be somewhere here or here. And you don't want the captions to block your mouth. So again, I would probably shift it here, somewhere here. This is under captions, and then you can click on text. If you want to adjust the individual caption, you will unselect apply to all. But if you just want to adjust the position of all the captions, you can just click on apply to all. So you can see all the captions have shifted up accordingly as well. The next thing is you want to select a font and you want to select a preset style. So you can do something like that. Alliance #1 bold. This is one of the fonts I like to use. I like to use this, with the white text with black outline. This is one of the easiest for it to be visible. If you wanted it to appear one word at a time, you can click on like templates. So I can show you an example here. The different fonts or animation styles you can choose from. So let's say I can go for this. So the good thing about one word at a time is, number one, it is more engaging. Number two, you take up less space on the screen if you display one word at a time. So I think it's quite advantageous to use one word at a time a lot of the time. The weakness is that I find that it is sometimes a bit buggy. You cannot, you have less control over the captions. So I prefer to use like 2 to 5 words at a time. So let me just play for you as an example.
What if I told you that some of the sharpest business minds in Southeast Asia didn't learn strategy in the boardroom? They learned it in an internet cafe playing StarCraft or Warcraft at 2 a.m. I'm not just theorizing. The CEO.
So like theorizing is missing, you can just drag it.
I'm not just theorizing.
So it's a bit buggy. Like, okay, so I did auto captions, right? You can click on captions. Like sometimes this word for word, one word at a time kind of caption is a bit buggy. So I could make a new line. And it may not fully align with my speech. So I need to actually check.
I'm not just theorizing. I'm not just
See, I'm not theorizing. Actually, it's I'm not just theorizing, and I think I said the word theorizing here. So I should shift this and I expand this. So let's see whether it works now.
I'm not just theorizing. The CEO of Shopify, Tobias, was a competitive StarCraft player.
Okay, so I think this like 13-second segment, it seems to be okay. So I was using the template, but let's say I don't want to use a template, I want to use a basic caption. So I'll cancel the template here. I'll go back to basic and I'll select the preset style. And I'll select the same font again. It depends on whether you want the text to be like flashier, take up more space on the screen. If there's really not much going on and you have a lot of empty space in your frame, you can go for a bigger font. If your face is like filling up the entire screen and you don't want to like block your mouth, I think it's better to use a smaller font, so maybe like font size 10. And like I think the best practice is to have one line at a time. 2 lines take up a bit more space. If you're a bit lazy to put in so much effort in the captions, you can go for 2 lines, but definitely do not go for more than 2 lines. It just takes up way too much space. So let's say I want to shrink this from 2 lines into 1 line, right? I'll click on this. So let me just play and figure out where is the cutoff point, right? The last word will be some for the first line.
What if I told you that some of the
somewhere here, right? I'll just cut it into 2. Some, I'll delete the first part of the caption to some. Second part of the caption, I'll delete the first part and leave off the sharpest business. Okay, so I can just play it.
What if I told you that some of the sharpest business minds in Southeast Asia didn't learn strategy?
Didn't learn strategy, right? This is the cutoff point, so I will delete it like that. In the boardroom, they learned it in.
They learned it in it.
So I will cut it here as well. They learned it in an internet cafe, right? So you can play the caption, see whether it matches what I'm saying.
They learned it in an internet cafe playing StarCraft or Warcraft at 2 a.m.
Okay, so I feel this is more or less okay. Of course, I could make it even tighter, right? Was a competitive StarCraft player. I could also cut it at competitive.
Was a competitive.
Okay, so we can play the whole thing.
What if I told you that some of the sharpest business minds in Southeast Asia didn't learn strategy in the boardroom? They learned it in an internet cafe playing StarCraft or Warcraft at 2 a.m. I'm not just theorizing. The CEO of Shopify, Tobias, was a competitive StarCraft player. What if I told you?
Okay, so these captions work. The next step is adding B-rolls, supporting images, supporting videos, right? So if you do a pure talking head, usually it's quite boring. You really need to add something to the screen to spice it up. So what I would recommend, let's say when I mentioned StarCraft or Warcraft, like right, for example, uh, I have the game boxes for each of the game. So I have two images here, and what you'll do is to drag it into the media uh, part of the video editor. So and by the way, right, on the video editor timeline, if your media is higher up, if your media is higher up, it means that it will cover anything that's below. So just to give you an example, okay, firstly I want to add the Warcraft game box. I'll just drag it here, and the static image by default is 5 seconds. You can just drag it for the duration that makes sense. And you can see that Warcraft is on top of the talking head video, so it covers it. If I drag it below, sorry, let me drag it. This is now on top of the Warcraft image. So make sure you know what's the proper hierarchy. I also want to cover one more thing, right, which is these few buttons here. So main track magnet. Okay, if you turn it off, right, if let's say I drag this away, everything will remain as it is. But if I deleted it, it would remain as it is as well. But if you turn off the magnet, if you turn on the magnet, it will snap into place. So if I deleted this, this part will just snap here. So it depends on how you're trying to edit it, but you should play around with these buttons. They're quite important. Okay, the next is auto snapping, right? Like, can you see this auto snapping feature? You will snap onto, and it will align to all these different parts of the timeline. So auto snapping is quite useful. Usually I'll leave it on, but sometimes you may potentially want to turn it off. And then linkage is whether, let's say you want to link a bunch of like media files with the voiceover or music and with the captions. So if let's say I turn on linkage, you can see this is linked with this, right? Yeah, so you can move them together to and fro. So I just recommend that you guys play around these features. I think it's quite important. Okay, next, back to the Warcraft image. So you can just resize it, put it somewhere. And let's say if I want to add a StarCraft image, I will drag it. I also want to, make sure I just align it with this specific line in the script, right? You could try to like match the size to make it the same. Something like that, right?
Playing StarCraft or Warcraft at 2 a.m. I'm not just your.
So the images will cut off here. So at this point, they disappear naturally. Or if I want the box to appear when I say StarCraft, you could drag it here. Warcraft.
Or Warcraft.
Let's say I could drag it here. So they will pop up one at a time, basically, if I do it like that.
Playing StarCraft or Warcraft at 2 a.m. I'm not just your.
Yep. So that's how I may potentially edit this, right? What other ways could I edit this? Let's say I wanted to create some videos or images about myself in a boardroom discussing strategy, right? This is something that we do not actually have footage for, but with the help of AI, I could create such a scene, right, just to make the video more interesting. So I like to use Gemini. You can actually use ChatGPT as well, right? Either one is fine. Okay, I'm using the pro version of Gemini, so this makes things easier. You go to a new chat, press the plus button, and then you click on create image. So you want to describe what kind of scene you're trying to generate, right? So for example, let's say I'm trying to make a scene of myself in a certain situation, right? I could just print screen or use the snipping tool to copy my face. I can paste it in here. So you probably want to follow this format, like this. Firstly, you describe the scene, right? Or you don't even need a tight description. You just say man in board room meeting with 3 other staff discussing strategy. So this will be my description of the scene. You can type your aspect ratio. Usually you want to go for 9:16 if you are going for a 9:16 short form video, right? Vertical portrait video. You want to talk about your style. If you don't mention style, I think they will usually go for a more realistic kind of style. So I like to use like GTA 4 stylized with simple outlines. You can say something like vectorized graphic. You can do something like Pixar animation. or like even like manga characters. There's a lot of styles you can play around with, or like watercolor painting. It's really up to you, right? You can see a lot of options here. But I like to use GDA 5 the most because it's like stylized, but it still looks really sick. Like if you wanted a specific background, you can actually just like request for it. You find an image of what you want, ask the AI to add that. But let's just try this and see what happens. So like it's recreating my own face and putting me in with a boardroom of other people. So of course this looks like more of an international setting. Like let's say I want to cater it to the Singapore context, I might specify the ethnicity of the different people. Like I might put Chinese, Malay, Indian people instead of like black people or white people, right? Because that doesn't match the ethnic diversity of Singapore. Yeah, but I mean, if this is fine, you can just copy this image. You can say, or you can save it, and I would put it. Let's say I put it here, right? Boardroom. Give it a name. And if you want something more straightforward, you can just put image. It's easier. So let's say boardroom, right? The problem with an image is there's often a watermark by Gemini. It's not very visible in this specific image, but there is a watermark. So I'm going to add it to the timeline. And I want this image to actually match. I want it to match this script, right? They didn't learn strategy in the boardroom, right? So like you can see this specific image matches the script, whatever the script is saying. So let's play it and have a look.
Southeast Asia didn't learn strategy in the boardroom. They learned it.
So I think this is fine. You can obviously, if you're not happy with the image, you can continue to reiterate on the image. So let's talk about animating the image. Animating the image into a video now. If you prefer to use a video clip, so you can go to Gemini again. I could copy this image. I would select create video, and it will prompt you to start a new chat. So I can just paste this, and you can specify what you want to see in the video, right? If you don't specify much, it will just try to produce like the default setting, right? I could say something like Chinese man looks angry and slams the table. Other four people stare in horror and drop their items. So the most crucial part about animating, the most crucial part about making a video, AI video, is the image. Actually, the initial image needs to prompt the first frame or the first scene well enough. But of course, having a text prompt can help you to like mold the video into the end product that you want to see. So I would like generate. So for Gemini Pro, you have 3 free generations every day. So I probably wouldn't want to overdo this if I'm on the basic like Gemini Pro plan. If you want to generate a lot of images, or like if you want to generate a lot of videos, you probably need to buy more like API tokens. It's going to be more expensive. So we'll wait for the video to be ready. After that, when it's done, we're going to like copy it. Okay, next I want to talk about having a green screen effect. So let's say in this situation, I'm just using the image to overlay my face, right? As in, it's just right on top of my face, and my talking head is just not visible. What if I wanted to make my talking head visible? So firstly, this clip needs to be on top of the image clip, right? So I would drag it on top, and I would remove linkage, right? Linkage is not right here, so I would drag it on top. But now my head is covering it, right? Of course, you could resize it. If you just wanted a split screen, you can do something like that. You can reposition the clips accordingly. But what I want to go for instead is to have my talking head with my background removed, right? So this is called the green screen effect. So you click on my talking head clip. I think you can click on remove background, auto remover. Click on stroke. You can leave it like that, or if you want to have an outline, I like to use like solid stroke. So I could do something like that. So the background looks more interesting, but the audience can still see my head. my face talking. So I quite like to use this green screen effect. I think it's quite nice. You can even like rotate it if you want, depending on the nature of the image and whether you are trying to not block a certain part of the screen. So I could do something like that. Yeah, so let's play and have a look.
Asia didn't learn strategy in the boardroom. They learned it in an internet cafe playing StarCraft or Warcraft at 2 a.m.
Okay, so that's how you do the green screen effect. Okay, we actually have a video here, but it's not in the right aspect ratio.
This is completely unacceptable. I want a better strategy, and I want it now.
Most of the time it has sound and sometimes even speech, but usually I will just mute it. So let's say I want to use this video. Obviously, I might need some iterations for this as well. Let's say I think this is good enough. You click on download. Okay, I'm just going to add it to the video, right? So let's say I no longer want to use the still image. No more auto remover. I'm just going to restore it to its initial settings. Yeah, okay.
This is completely unacceptable.
I'm going to drag it onto the timeline. I will make it bigger. Let's say I just want to show the middle part of the clip. Obviously, the rest of the clip is cut off. Problem with VEO3 from Google Gemini is that it usually generates in 16 by 9. Yeah, so that's the problem. So let's say I want to use the clip here. I'll just cut it at this point. Click split or like Ctrl B. I can delete the rest and drag it down. So this clip basically overrides my talking head. And if I do not want to use the sound from this video, I can click on right click, extract audio, and I can delete the audio. So this clip will be silent. Only my voiceover will be playing. My talking head will be playing.
Didn't learn strategy in the boardroom. They learned it in an internet cafe playing.
Okay, so now we have this scene where the AI video is actually playing over. Yeah, obviously the difficult part is to get the exact video that you want. You probably have to iterate multiple times. Okay, I think the last part of the video is to have a good title hook, which is very important for short form video in my opinion. So yes, we already added the auto captions, but I want to add one more caption. So I'll just add a text, default text. And I usually want it to last for 2 to 5 seconds. So I could just go for 3 seconds. I mean, unfortunately, I filmed this in 16 by 9, so my face is filling up most of the screen. Usually, I want my head to be this big, so there's space on top to put the captions, right? So I will select the font. And I usually, instead of going for a transparent background, I will go for black on white or white on black. I think either is fine. So I could say, let's say my hook is why RTS players make great entrepreneurs. Something like that, right? Let's say this is my clickbaity title hook. Adjust the size, and you want the title hook to start from the first frame, right? And so when you export the video and you actually upload it on most platforms, by default, the platform will take, most platforms besides YouTube will take the first frame as the thumbnail. So like having these captions here is great because it creates a curiosity hook, and encourages people to be interested and to actually click on the video. If you're just showing your own face, right? Unless you are like really good looking, if not, you're just not going to get the click. Yeah, and so it's best just to let people know what you are going to be talking about. So the final step is to actually export the video. So you usually can go 1080 or like 2K or even 4K. I think you should go at least 1080. Just export it. All the other settings are like okay, no problem. You probably don't need to export the audio. You can just export the video. Captions, if you want to upload to YouTube, you may want to export it into a separate file as well. But I think default setting, you can just go with this. So you export it. You can actually edit the cover or the thumbnail also. But with my given workflow, I just edit it such that the first few seconds have the title hook. Technically, if you wanted to edit the cover, you can also click on this button here, edit cover. So you can upload your own custom thumbnail, or you can just edit this like starting frame, right? For example. So let's say I click on edit cover. You could add stickers or whatever, right? Let's say I wanted to paste this sticker on my nose. I mean, do whatever you want, right? Like whatever makes sense. But I usually don't touch this part. Okay, so when you export, this is what it would look like. You click on export.
What if I told you that
Okay, so it's already ready. It's really fast. Okay, so where was it? I think it's under 520. Yeah, here. So because I have a custom thumbnail, it exported a separate file that is a JPEG. So this is an image file. But of course, this is actual video.
what if I told you that some of the sharpest business minds in Southeast Asia didn't learn strategy in the boardroom? They learned it in an internet cafe playing StarCraft or Warcraft at 2 a.m. I'm not just theorizing. The CEO of Shopify, Tobias, was a competitive StarCraft player.
Okay, so it looks pretty good. So I guess this roughly describes the entire workflow. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Thank you.